All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking about mastering the double training day today. So, this is an aspect of your training program that if you haven't been doing it up until now, as you look to build volume, as your timetable gets busy, like there are days coming up, or there's days that you're having to deal with right now where you're having to double stack the day. Some of you in obviously what we're doing in the background here as coaches, we've got triple days sometimes. When you're working with multi-sport athletes, people who are running long distances or accumulating big volumes of training, we're needing to put in X amount of work across the week. Morning, midday, or at lunchtime, and then after work, etc. These have become the hotspots for obviously to get that work done. And then obviously come the weekends, double days can easily become a thing. We're going to go through some of the key characteristics as to how or what you want to be considering, and obviously how you can be better optimizing these, because improving these the performances and the benefits of these kind of training days, but also just the key considerations, to make it more sustainable, to actually make it doable. We have multiple people on program at the moment, whether it's in triathlon, multisports, whether it's in ultra distance training, where they're doing double days weekly, monthly, yearly, and it's back to back, and they've got a very nice, consistent routine with it. But there are some key considerations. Understanding when to prioritize those key sessions, how to sequence it appropriately, the timing between these key sessions, how to fuel, like one of the biggest aspects. If you're doing a double day of sport, so running or riding, of swimming, and you're also getting your S&C in, what is that S&C going to look like? The structure of your week, and then obviously the recovery aspect as well. So we're going to go through all these key points as we roll into this episode. But double days, big thing, but it's going to come from experience. It's going to come from how long you've been training for. Like, these aspects don't ever change. Going straight into double days of training when you've just literally started getting back into running, getting back into training in general. Like, some of you have done it in the past, so you're gonna maybe to potentially have that familiarity with it. But yeah, in terms of sustainably building someone back into their training and making sure that their body is tolerating it, their stress in their life and everything else they've got going on, they're tolerating all of it. If you suddenly, and people do, they walk straight into a 70.3 program, an Ironman program, and it's like, here we go, good luck, off you go. And here we got, you got a run and a ride, you got run, swim, strength, you've got massive amount of work on top of your busy lifestyle. These are immediate considerations you want to have. So any good program will likely, or should be, building this up and going, right, how much can this individual tolerate? If you've never had that experience, just know that a good coaching program will likely be trying to do that with you. If you're suddenly walking into a templated program, those double days are going to feel pretty rough, and they're probably going to stay feeling pretty rough because they're not taking into consideration who you are. And this is where obviously that templated formula falls short for so many people. So guys, when it comes to double days, prioritizing the day, what are we trying to get out of this current phase of training? You are beginning of the program. We're trying to build up that aerobic base. We're trying to make sure you've got adequate strength and conditioning in your body. There are across the timetable of the week. What are we trying to achieve? Likely at the beginning of a program, if you're building towards a key event, whether you're getting back into the sport and you're trying to build that volume, building up that aerobic base, building up that kind of the S&C qualities that you want to make sure that your joints are tolerating and muscle groups are well conditioned. We want all those things to be in place. So when you're looking down the barrel of the week, most of us, if we've got to have those key sessions within the week, I think we're going to have those interval-based kind of speed sessions. Those are going to be taking priority across the week. Those peak sessions will start to define everything else within the week. Generically, Tuesday, Thursdays, a lot of people are up at the track or doing their interval sessions on those types of days. Longer runs at the weekends. Your S&C generally wants to be on those alternate days. So we're starting to kind of map it out already. We're starting to bring in some extra more volume into your running, let's say, and so for us, we're maybe looking to tag on some of those easier, longer runs onto those strength and conditioning days. I would like to keep the high interval speed, pace-based running sessions in isolation whenever possible, because we are looking to prioritize someone's ability to tolerate more speeds, to be able to put that level of intensity into their body on the track or on the trail, or if they're doing a hill set. If I can keep that separate, then I'm going to. But there comes a time when the volumes are at such a height that we are then starting to think, right, we need to tag on a morning session of riding, cross training, whatever it needs to be on top of that track session. So then we start to think about morning and evening. So one of the most important things you're doing right now is starting to understand what you are looking to achieve in the next 2, 4, 8 weeks of training. You're looking to get stronger. You're looking to work on weaknesses. You want to make sure that your S&C sessions have that, you put in adequate enough recovery time around them so that your body you can push hard, work on those weaknesses, blow up those key muscle groups, etc. But then also be able to then move into a training session in that evening, which is of the lower intensity, an easy, steady state effort. This just allows us to spread the neurological load. You're training your central nervous system, right? So you want to make sure that you are adequately keeping your sessions optimal, but you're still moving well and you're still got good, your body's recovering adequately. So most importantly, you're prioritizing what you want from each of those sessions. And this is obviously, we're taking us into that secondary point, which is talking about how we sequence it correctly. And you can hear as I'm defining this, that within the week, you're prioritizing those key sessions. And then we're talking about this sequencing. Where is it most appropriate to kind of be bringing in these key sessions around each other? Again, trying to keep your S&C efforts, your strength and conditioning work, your strength training work separate from your running, your riding, your swimming, your top and tailing the day, hugely important. But again, if you can isolate those key kind of peak sessions even more, keep it and keeping one of those sessions to for 12, 24 hours in between, then that's even better. But sequencing is important. There's a romantic connection when it comes to people's, obviously they're running and they're riding, where they are going to naturally want to prioritize that. And they will. They'll run, they'll ride, they'll swim, and then they'll do their strength and conditioning work. The problem with this, guys, is that you're no matter how easy, steady state, zone 2 that effort is in the pool, on the bike, and on the run, you're going into that S&C session compromised. You're going to be going in a state of fatigue. And as a result, you are going to have nullified your your abilities to produce those maximal forces. We've got people obviously coming out of the water, jumping into the gym in the swimming center, or they're going straight out the door. Or they're coming in from a run, going into the garage, doing their strength work. It sounds like it would be a good idea, but actually, when you start to move real amounts of weight, we start to move with a bit more complexity. You're trying to sequence your body. You want to be doing that fresh. You want to have that neurological kind of freshness to your body, where your brain and your body are moving in sync. They're moving with good coordination. You've got that nice sharpness to you. Everything's nullified. You get off that bike, you compromise. You get off that run, no matter how steady state it is, you're going to be compromised. And yeah, if you're doing surface level strength work, which some of you are, that's the reality of it. You won't ever see the true benefits of your strength and conditioning work. And the evidence will be is that your numbers haven't improved. You've still got imbalances months, years later. True benefits you're going to see is when you start to really periodize this more appropriately. And all you need to do is moving into that kind of the third point I want to talk about is that timing between sessions. As you want to optimize or get more out of your training sessions, you've got to respect recovery. That's the most important thing. If you're doing a run, a ride, a swim, and an S&C session, when you're trying to get a couple of those, 2 of those across the space of a day, give yourself at least 3, 5, 6, 8 hours in between. 3 hours, yeah. So you got a morning session and then a lunchtime session, then so be it. Ideally, if you can get a morning and an evening session, perfect. And we'll talk about fueling in between, because that's going to be a massive piece to this puzzle. But recovery is everything. And it's amazing, guys, how many people still underappreciate the importance of this adaptation. We are training our asses off. We want to see how, we're putting all this work in, spending all this time, investing all this effort. But we're not giving your body enough time to then adapt and to repair, to grow, to replenish, to then go again. And that's the thing, right? You're layering. So, big run, big ride, big swim, a big interval set in the morning, go to work, go about your day, eat, fuel, recover, get back onto the bike in the evening, or get back into the gym in the evening, fully recovered, to a degree, and go again and put in another peak effort. This is how you get better, guys. But if you're not respecting this, and this is what people are doing, they don't realize how fatigued they are. They're doing everything in a fatigued state. But yet they're still expecting results from these sessions. And it just isn't the case. You're just simply unable to reach those higher levels of performance. You're not moving with enough accuracy. You're skimming the surface. So giving yourself that adequate recovery time. And then as we go into this fourth piece, fueling like you want to get better results. Some of you are terrible at this. You don't fuel before a session because you think fasting is a great idea. You don't fuel enough afterwards because you've kind of don't have, you're not doing it mechanically. You're thinking, I'm not that hungry yet. You're not thinking about the next session. You're not thinking about the sessions you want to do, the double day you want to do today, tomorrow, at the weekend. The way you fuel will be absolutely critical to how you are able to then consistently build on these double days. Some of you are expecting your volumes to increase weekly, monthly over this next 16 plus weeks. How in the world do you expect it to do that if you're still eating like sparingly? You're still eating like you were, at the beginning of the program. You're halfway into this phase. You're 8 weeks, 12 weeks down the line. You're still eating the same, but yet you're expecting your body to be able to tolerate greater volumes, to be able to increase, produce greater powers. No, your fueling ability has got to improve. And this is something we are constantly leaning on people about. It's get that smoothie in mid-morning, get that bar, that whatever it needs to be, just to up those calories so that you can go again in the evening. Double days are going to be built upon your ability to recover and your ability to obviously fuel in between that, and hydrate obviously goes alongside this. These are the pieces, guys. All right. So you're prioritizing, you're thinking about the sequence. And this is going to be on an individual basis as well. So we're having this conversation with everyone we work with as to the stress and strain of their work and their other family commitments, and whether they've got to commute to work and back, etc. These are all elements that they're super important, but I don't want to kind of muddy the water too much. Everyone's going to have unique, but prioritizing, sequencing, allowing that recovery time in between. Then you've got to make sure you're fueling in between those sessions, what that looks like, definitely based on the individual. This is how you sustainably really start to build this ability to tolerate these bigger training days, these bigger double days. And again, we've got people on multi-sport program doing triple days sometimes. They're hitting 1, 2, 3 sessions across a day. How in the world are they doing that? Well, they're earning the right. They're building this capacity. What does your strength training look like on these bigger days? So this is a thing where people kind of, they struggle to perceive what this looks like. Well, guys, it adjusts, okay? Your S&C will adjust depending on the phase of training you're in, the type of runs that you're working with. When we're looking down the barrel of someone's bigger training days, we might have them doing 3 S&C sessions a week, but as their volumes increase, as the intensity of their efforts start to increase within their sport, run, ride, swim, etc., we may drop them to 2 sessions. We may start to adjust the complexity of the exercises. We may actually reduce the volumes and the intensities that they're working at, but they're still hitting those sessions across the week because we've still got this maintenance in mind. We still want this quality of coming through in their mechanics. We don't want to be overloading those weak muscle groups. So you want to be making sure that your S&C is adjusting as you go. If you're working from a coaching program that's giving you generic strength training, you could easily be overtraining, because you're just going in and going, I love to squat, I love to deadlift, I love to do my single leg work, I love to work to blow up my core and etc. And you could easily be overtraining. And this is where we see lower back symptoms creeping in. We see calf issues, lower leg issues creeping in because people haven't adjusted the intensity and the complexity of some of these exercises. There is a risk versus reward. As you build volume, intensity across a program, you've got to be adapting things. And this is where that feedback back and forth with the coach is going to really come in handy. If you're following a generic program, you're going to be playing it by ear all the time. There's a wonderful ebb and flow. There's an art to building out this volume because you're listening to the body. How is it tolerating it? Can we add more volume? Can we increase that volume of those double days, those triple days, those back-to-back days? There's an art to it. And then, guys, the overall thing I want us to be thinking about is this weekly structure. Again, I've touched on it. You're going to have those peak days across the week where you're looking to get more out of your body, those A sessions. It's the track work, it's the interval work, it's the speed work, it's the hill work. Then it's also the long, big efforts. You're looking to put 2-3 hours into your body of hard work. How you're dividing that week up is going to be huge because that then helps you define where you're going to be getting that extra work in, where are we going to get those strength sessions in, where are we going to get that extra cross-training work in. That's where we can start to spread the load. We start to kind of move the pieces around. But your weekly structure, again, you just define it as a training program and then you try to fit it over your lifestyle. You're going to find lots of roadblocks. When you're building out this kind of strategy, also look at your work diary, look at your family commitments, your social commitments, all those other things, and it will adjust on a week-to-week basis. Something we're doing all the time when we're trying to build a volume is right, move the pieces around. It's super, super important, guys, to be thinking like this. As we move into a place where we are now following AI and ChatGPT, and we're just building out programs on an algorithm, it's lacking that individualized approach. It doesn't know your lifestyle unless you're putting in all that data. And even then, it's not. You're going to do that every single week. Are you adjusting through conversation? No, it's something that you want to be adjusting on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But these are the considerations you want to be taking into control. So I want to leave, guys, on one of the most important points is that double days aren't, it's kind of the psychology of this. Double days aren't about burying yourself. Okay. You are looking to put work into your body, but you want there to be quality all the time. I think when it comes to like endurance-based training, like people can really focus so much on just building volume, but the quality is lacking. You don't know what you're pacing, you don't know your heart rate zones, you don't know you're moving well in your S&C work. You're just shuffling along, you're just dragging your body through these sessions. That's not what we're looking for. All of these points that we've talked about is very much about maintaining this quality, this sustainable quality. You stretch that volume, stretch the intensity, ask more of yourself, but you do not let that quality diminish. That's why the S&C's got to be there. That's why we've got to make sure the fueling is equal there. This is why we want to be planning ahead week on week, because you're not trying to crush yourself on a weekly basis. You're trying to like thrive. You're trying to thrive into this type of increased volume because people are doing it. I can tell you, we've got people on program right now who are just absorbing insane amounts of work into their working week. They've got their parents. They are working towards major big goals coming into over the next 12 months. But they're doing it because they've earned the right. They're doing all those other behaviors in the background, the non-negotiables, so everything that we're talking about. They're adjusting they're adjusting these things on a week-to-week basis, working with us as their coaches to kind of adjust that as they go. This is how you achieve this increased volume. Otherwise, you're just trying to force a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. It's just, you're always going to be struggling. All right. So keep these things in mind, guys. You're just looking to kind of build in these higher volumes. Like these double days are easily achievable. I've been doing it almost 20 years with people where, you've got an Ironman, you've got ultras, you've got marathons, whatever it is, big volumes needed across a busy working week. Family commitments, social commitments. We've got to get the S&C in because you've had injuries that we need to move past. We want to never have to deal with it ever again. So you've got these non-negotiables. How do we map it out? Likely we're going to have double days along the way. But that individualized approach, adjusting it around your lifestyle, that's the key. But I hope it's been useful, guys. Let us know any questions you have, thoughts around this. I've no doubt you will. And as always, reach out. This is always great conversation to be having, and then we can start mapping out from there. All right, guys, have a great one.